Welcome to W Trading. In this video, we're going to be going over a technical analysis for Bitcoin. I'm going to find you some higher time frame and lower time frame targets. If you do find this content helpful, please do drop me a like and a subscribe. It would really help out. Okay, so starting off on the higher time frame on the weekly chart at the moment, as we can see, Bitcoin is trading up inside of this rising wedge. And, we're starting to run into some areas where we would expect to find some resistance. So in this case, we have the point of control of the previous bull range. If you want to look at this for yourself, you can pull up the fixed range volume profile. And then all you have to do is pull it from one side of this range inside which we traded for most of the bull run. So from one side to the other, so about there. And as we can see, the point of control is this area with the most, the most value traded with inside the range. It lines up right with this level, which is starting to come, coincide with the top of this rising wedge with which we've been trading with. So this area comes in at about $38,000 to $39,000 per Bitcoin. If we do start to trade above this, we'll be pushing into weekly supply. But for the time being, when I come onto the lower time frame, you'll see it is starting to hold us some kind of resistance, and it's definitely something to pay attention to. If you are looking to be a buyer, I would be watching out around here. So I personally would definitely not be looking to be a buyer at these levels, above 35k. If we pull up this tweet really quick, you can see that I posted this back in November 2022. I also posted this in the free Discord, and I was basically calling out that, I was buying down at 17k to 20k. That's where I got most of my spot buys in. I did sell some off at 28k, and I think, I may sell some if we start trading high and I still see some resistance. If not, what I'll be looking for, and what can often happen with these ascending patterns, is that we can overshoot them slightly. So if I see, we're trading within this pattern, the, bullish climax to this climb could be a, push above this ascending pattern into the weekly supply. So the last upwards candle before a, large drop down, that is your weekly supply zone. So a push above this into weekly supply. If I see us catch resistance here and then start closing back inside the pattern, so you see some price action where you start coming up, trading side, then you get rejected, you fall back inside the original pattern. That for me would also be very, very bearish. Another thing that I'm looking at, which is, very, very interesting with this range, is the fact that this is very, very similar to what we saw back in 2019. And what I mean by this is if I, come over to this chart, we can see 2017, we had the top of the previous bull run. 2018, we had a sharp decline, just like we did in 2022. And then the following year, we have this, ascent back up, a bit of a retracement. And if we pull up our Fibonacci tool, we can see if we draw that on, it comes almost perfectly to the 618, so the golden ratio of the Fibonacci of the entire retracement down. If we use that same analysis for our, cycle right now, we can see that the 618 would come in towards the top of the weekly supply. It also comes in with a value area high from the previous range volume profile. So, if we do overshoot this, and we overshoot it quite aggressively, this would be really, my final selling area. I do expect that we are due another pullback sometime, towards the end of this year, or more likely in the start of 2024, just as we saw after the run-up we had in 2019 and into 2020, okay? These don't always repeat. As they say, history doesn't repeat, but it definitely does rhyme. And I think this cycle will still bear some similarities to last cycle. However, I don't expect that we will see, such an aggressive drop-off that we saw over here. Okay, so as we saw, this was the COVID dump, and this brought us, if we look at this, a percentage move, in a couple of weeks, it took us down 60%. I don't think we'll see anything quite as aggressive as that, but I do think we could see some of the original retracement that we started to see. And, this was fairly aggressive at the time. This was around a 50%, retracement from the highs. I don't think we'll see it as aggressively, mainly because, volatility over time does drop off. The returns drop off, but so does the risk. So, if we do push up to this level, a potential retrace that I might be looking for is around 30%, which was bring us back to the bull range low and the bear market range high. Okay, so this level here, which I would like to see hold, and if we ever do see it again, is definitely where I'd be looking to buy. Okay, so now coming down to a lower time frame, we're on the 1 hour chart right now, and we're gonna have a look at the, some short-term analysis and pick you out some short-term targets looking for trades. So I've got two levels marked up right here. This level I actually did call out yesterday in the free Discord. I was basically saying, when we did drop below, I was saying if we do trade back up back up into this level, you know, it could be a decent area to start looking for shorts. And if we see here, you know, this was a level that I marked up. As we can see, you know, we traded back up and we started to reject. You know, these levels that I find in these ranges, they're mainly just areas where I see lots of involvement from traders. So, you know, highs and lows being formed. As we see, you know, we're getting, you know, support, rejections, rejections, support. So, you know, clearly a clear level where, you know, traders are very, very interested to, you know, be reacting to prices here. I said, you know, if we do come lower, we can retrace back up. This could offer a great short entry, and as it did. However, you know, we are starting to trade in some kind of, you know, pattern here, which does look kind of bullish, and you would expect an upside expansion from this. So we'll have to wait and see from this. In terms of, you know, picking out a long position to play this for an upside move, what I would like to see is this level here, so about 37.2k. If we can flip this, as we can see, you know, similar to this level, lots of trader reaction here. You can see clear areas of rejection, clear areas of support and rejection again. So if we can, you know, clear this level, it also lines up with a high volume node within the volume profile of this range. So clearing this level, it might be a very, very good trigger for a possible long onto a next target much, much higher up. You know, breaking above that level on the low time frame could possibly lead to an event where we see a push into, you know, the weekly supply, kind of deviate above this pattern that we already have forming, and, you know, start to put in a bit more of a cyclical top for this mini bull cycle. So that's about it for my higher time frame and lower time frame analysis of Bitcoin. Even though I am starting to see that we could be forming a top here and getting retracement, you know, it is always possible to be wrong in these markets. This is just my personal outlook. If we do start aggressively pushing above the 50k level, we could very well be heading into, you know, the next extension of the bull market. That is, you know, impossible to tell at this point. My personal thesis is that we have a similar kind of play out to what we saw in the previous cycle, because, you know, historical data is the only data we really have to go off with this. And, you know, we may possibly see a bit more of a retracement in the next few months.